Hello, Teklians, and welcome to our very first episode of Teklian Live, a show where we're going to be talking about all sorts of things, from mobile devices like Android and iOS, and computers like Windows and Linux, to even some science and science fiction. We're big sci-fi fans, so come back and visit us for that. I'm Rizkit.
And I'm Joseph. This episode will be talking about the next Nexus device from Google. There are a lot of rumors and wish lists out there, and we're going to cover a couple of those, as well as mention what we'd like to see. We're also going to cover some Google news ranging from the Moto X to Google Edition phones to worldwide Wi-Fi. We are Teklians. We don't just live with technology, we live within it, and this is Teklian Live.
So there's tons of Nexus 5 rumors about what the next Nexus 5 is going to look like, what it's going to have. There's two really popular ones that I found. One of them plays on the whole 5 thing. Everything's 5. 5-inch Super AMOLED display, which obviously this would be by Samsung. It doesn't say, but it would be by Samsung. 5 inches is kind of a big screen. Do you like 5-inch screens?
No, my Samsung Galaxy S3 is already, it's at its max. I don't want much bigger than that.
Yeah, I got Nexus 4. I don't know how many times I'm trying to reach my notification bar and my hand is pressing things, so I don't think 5-inch screen is a good idea for a Nexus, so we'll leave that as a rumor. The Exynos 5 processor, dual core, but I think they're supposed to be more battery efficient. It says improved 5-megapixel camera. I don't know what improved means since the Nexus 4 has a 8-megapixel camera, but 5 megapixels could theoretically be better depending on the sensor.
I think by improved, maybe they're talking about sort of with the HTC, how they had that low megapixel camera, but it captures more light or something like that, so it gives you an improved picture compared to regular 5-megapixel cameras. That could be what they're talking about with improved.
Yeah, I mean, there's so many phones coming out with like 10, 13 megapixels and then improved 5-megapixel camera. Pentaband radio, I think they're just using that just for the 5. Android 5.0 keyline Pi. Another one looks like it would be from Acer or Asus, whatever. Android 5.0, everybody wants Android 5.0. 1080p display, Tegra 4, 3000 milliamp battery. I think the battery is going to be more important. 13 megapixel camera. Options of 32 gigabytes, 64 gigabytes internal storage. This rumor even listed a price of $299 or $349, kind of playing off the current pricing, which I think would be a good idea for another Nexus to be cheap. Well, on par with the Nexus 4.
I myself have been taking a look at the long-rumored Motorola X phone. The X phone rumors have been around for probably more than a year now. The original rumors, they were stating things from choosing your own hardware to 5-inch displays, 4-inch displays. There was no guideline. Every rumor that was possible was out there for the X phone. Everyone believed it was going to be custom colors for your faceplate and backplate. You can mix colors. There were so many rumors, but the rumors have seemed to tamper down, and we also have some fact now. Motorola has announced that there is going to be an X phone. It's going to be called the Moto X. The Moto X is going to have a 4.5 to 4.7 inch display with probably 720p, and it's going to be running Android 4.2.2 to start. But Google has announced that they plan on treating it as a stock device, so it will be getting updates shortly after Nexus gets their updates. So it'll stay pretty current. It's going to have a 16 gigabyte internal storage, and there's really no word yet on whether or not that's going to be expandable. Sticking with Google, it's probably not going to be, but we'll see how that turns out. It's rumored to be Sprint LTE. The Motorola version is going to be offered in CDMA and GSM, I've heard. I've been reading a couple stories on that. It's going to have a dual-core Snapdragon processor, 2 gigabytes of RAM, and a 10 megapixel rear camera with 2 megapixel front camera. Google's goal with Motorola seems to be putting out a device that is affordable for everyone. and we're going to talk some more about that later on in the show.
It's brilliant to have you have everybody else doing their high-end phones and make Nexus more affordable for everybody.
Yeah, that's definitely what I think they're going to do there, and I think that's their goal with Motorola, is to offer a lower cost phone at a cheap price and then bring Nexus up a little bit for everybody else.
There's a new stock camera app in it that was leaked a couple days ago. I downloaded it. I put it on my Nexus 4. Before, when you had your stock Nexus camera app, you had when you put your finger on the screen, you'd get this circle, and then you'd have your menu. You'd have menu items up here and then down below. So when you're using it with one hand, your thumb is covering up your menu items on the bottom. So I was constantly having to like lift my finger and look underneath and try to find those menu items. So they changed it now, so you have, when you press the screen, they're all at the top. Can't see that very well, but there's a million videos of showing that. So the other thing that I noticed that I thought was really cool, when you rotate the camera, so you rotate the camera to take a picture in landscape, which you should do, because taking pictures like this is stupid most of the time. So when you rotate your camera, you have your controls are still over here, relative to the bottom of the phone. They're on the right side of your screen. The problem with the camera before is when you rotated it the other way, it was still on the right side. So they fixed that, so now it's still in the same place. It's still on that side. So now it becomes, it's on the left side, which was really brilliant of them to finally do, because if you're using it in this hand, your hand is covering your camera. And it was always really frustrating. You still had to hold it with your other hand and then push the buttons on this side. So they finally they keep the shutter button in the same spot. It's always relative to the bottom of the phone, which I guess now says that Google now accepts left-handed people.
Yeah, the camera app is definitely a good update. I know I have basically a copy of the stock camera on my ROM, and I run into that problem all the time. I have to basically peek under my hand and try to see what those options are, and I just can't wait till my ROM rolls out those same updates.
Did you ever did you find the app file for it and try to install it?
No, but I will definitely take a look.
There's also a new boot animation for the Google Play edition, the HTC One and the S4. They got a fancy new boot animation. Here's a GIF of it. There's also app files where you can flash them and make it your boot animation if you are really that picky about what your boot animation is, which I'm not. I'm running Cyanogen Mon, so my boot animation looks like Stargate. Pretty awesome. There we go.
I definitely love that. I'm a huge fan of Stargate. Alright, I'm going to go back over and talk about Motorola a bit again. I know originally there were a lot of rumors. Google bought out Motorola, and there were a huge amount of rumors that Google's plans for Motorola were going to be to have Motorola be the producer of all future Nexus devices, which would have been another smart move. I mean, with LG, Samsung, Asus, when they have them make a Nexus device and they sell a device, they get to split that profit with them. Where if they had used Motorola for this, that's their company. They're not really losing much money there. As I said, those rumors, they're going to be using Motorola to keep spitting out phones. They've announced the new flagship phone from Motorola. That's going to be the Moto X, and I think that's replacing the Motorola Droid or whatever their flagship was back when they owned their own company. That X phone, again, it's going to come down to the bottom price. It's going to be hardware that can run the phone. It'll still be fast. It'll still work, but it's going to be affordable. It's going to be priced probably at like $200, $250. And it's going to allow them to take Nexus and bring Nexus up a step. Right now, Nexus, it's top quality technology, but they don't put the best stuff in it because they want to keep the price low enough so that they can get people to buy it. With this, they're going to make Motorola offer those low price phones, get people who don't have the money to buy flagship phones to still enjoy Android the way it should be, rather than buy like a $50 Samsung phone where it's, they're going to be blaming Android for all the problems, and really it's the hardware. So I'm interested to see how that turns out, and I'm very interested to see the X phone, and I'll be talking a lot more about that in future episodes as more information is made available.
Yeah, that's been one of the biggest issues with Android, I think, is those low-end phones. People go into they don't have a lot of money to spend, and they're just like, oh, this one's $50 with a rebate, and then it turns out to be crap, and then they don't know who to blame. So they don't really understand crappy hardware operating system. They see Android, and they're like, I want something that looks like an iPhone, and I want an Android. And then it turns out to be crap, and so they blame Android for it. And then they get this cheap little toy phone. They expect it to be like the next big powerful thing, and it's not. It's a piece of crap. So mid-range Nexus, but straight from Google. When I first saw the X phone specs, I thought it's either completely ridiculous, the rumors were wrong, or it was just not impressive at all. I looked at the specs and I thought that's the big X phone, but being a mid-range phone to be more affordable, it's actually brilliant. I'm really glad they're doing that. Said it's supposed to be coming with Android 4.2.2.
Yeah, Android 4.2.2, but that's also just based on rumors. I mean, we got 4.3 coming out. What is that, next month, I believe, right?
Yeah, sometime within the
Yeah,
next month.
4.3 next month, and Moto X has been officially announced to be coming out this summer. There's no date, no month, just this summer. So, and if it's going to be getting updates just weeks after the Nexus gets its updates, it may come out with 4.3. I was kind of questioning that rumor myself, but we'll see what happens.
Yeah, I mean, if it comes out after 4.3 comes out this month, then it would make sense for it to have the new version, and then be updated to maybe the next version, rumored to be 5.0. The way they've stepped their updates lately, I mean, it's been 4.0, 4.1, 4.2, which I thought was another thing that I thought was crazy was the way they name it. 4.0 is ice cream sandwich, and then 4.1 jelly bean, 4.2 jelly bean, 4.3 jelly bean. So it's like hasn't been consistent so far. So, and if they do jump all the way up to 5.0, would this be like an Android moonshot? I mean, they're going from 1, 2, 3. Would they jump all the way to 5 with the next version? And if they do, is this going to be like a scrap it, start from scratch, redesign Android from the ground up kind of thing? The other thing is the way they've named the Nexus devices. The tablets are named based on their screen size. Then you have the Nexus 4, which isn't a 4-inch screen. It's larger than a 4-inch screen, but it's the 4th generation Nexus. So we're looking at a Nexus 5. Is that, I mean, that's just going to be the 5th version, 5th generation Nexus phone. But that could cause confusion with it being a 5-inch display, because everything else is Nexus 7-inch display. It's not the 7th generation Nexus 10-inch display. That's not the 10th generation Nexus. If they're going by with the phones, keeping those generation, then they only have 2 more versions to do. That's Nexus 6, and then
For the 7th generation, they'll have to pick something else. They can't do Nexus 7.
Yeah.
So
unless the Nexus 7 is the 7th generation from the future.
Yeah. 7-inch phones everywhere. I don't know.
The 10th generation, that's what worries me. Walking around with a big tablet.
Well, I guess going back to the naming conventions, I don't know. I've been giving some thought myself to getting the 3G enabled Nexus 7 with a data plan, because I use Groove IP with Google Voice for all my calling. I mean, I barely ever make phone calls. When I do, I can use just a simple Bluetooth headset. I mean, that'll give me a bigger screen for everything. I won't be like holding a giant thing up to my face. I mean, I don't know how I would feel about carrying a 10-inch screen around with me everywhere. But the Nexus 7 is still, it's not too wide that I can't cram it in my pocket. I can't easily, I mean, there are ways to still carry it on me comfortably.
It's more like the Nexus 7, it seems like it's more pocket friendly. Like you carry it in a pocket.
Yeah.
You have big pockets.
I mean, it's still pretty big, and I do like, on my phone, I use it a lot just for quick things, and I like being able to reach everything with just one hand. I don't want to have to use 2 hands, but it was an option I was considering, and I might still consider. It's kind of a kill 2 birds with one stone. I got my call function, and I still have my, a tablet that I can use, and bigger screen, better viewing. I do a lot of media streaming, so.
I'm missing not having my tablet. I hated that tablet because it was slow and crashed all the time and froze, but
It's
it
so that's ended
that
up
brief,
bricked, right?
yeah, the brief moment it worked,
Yeah.
it's just collecting dust now until I can, unless somebody comes up with a way. It's hard bricked, which means sorry.
Yeah.
You,
Well, we're gonna move on now. We're gonna talk a little bit about Android wishlist, and one thing I wanted to talk about was battery life. And really, what does it come down to? We'd like to see some comments, but do you prefer your phone to be as thin as they can possibly make it, or are you okay with a phone that's, not a brick, but it's thicker than these thin phones that they're obsessed with bringing out now, but your battery life is going to last you the day? I mean, I know I'd rather not charge my battery. Yeah,
yeah, this I sometimes I feel like this is gonna break.
yeah. I know my S3. When I first bought it, like it was the thinnest phone I'd ever had, and I always felt like that was going to break too. I got little. I I still feel like it's gonna break. Um, but I personally would prefer it to be just a little bit thicker and have a battery that's gonna last all day. I know I'm a heavy phone user. I don't currently have a tablet. Maybe that would take away from my phone use a little bit if I did. But right now I'm a heavy phone user, and I have to charge my battery by about 3 o'clock every day. I have to plug it in for about 2 hours of charge, and I would rather have my phone just a little bit thicker, get me through the day, than this obsession with being completely thin. I mean, if it's going to
Yeah,
be in my pocket, I don't really care.
I would gladly take a little bit more thickness for twice the battery, easily twice the battery. They could do that. I around like around the same time as you, about 3 o'clock, whatever. I have to try to remember to plug this in before I leave work so that I can actually use it through most of the night when I get home. And somehow managed to plug it in here, and it's not plugged in on the other end.
Yeah.
And I go to leave, and it wasn't even charging. Another something else I want to see more Google Now card integration. Like I've been using Google Now a lot, and it kind of sucks because ever since I flashed my phone, installed a custom ROM, uh, I think it has to like relearn things. But like we were talking about, I have birthdays at the top, which may be important to some people, but I don't know those people.
Yeah.
Then I have my weather. Now my weather's at the top, 111.
Good luck.
Fantastic.
But that's definitely what I would like to see a little bit of. I really would like to see the ability to control the order in which your cards appear. I know on my phone, for some reason, the weather always appears close to last or sometimes last, and it displays stuff like sports scores, which I don't really care much about. I just follow the two local teams, so if someone brings it up, I know who won the game. But I'd rather have them at the bottom, and they're always up top. They're always first. I know I have stocks. That's always before my weather. The weather is what I look at the most. I don't want to have to scroll down to see it.
Do you ever swipe them away when you don't, like if you open it up and you're like not really interested in that, do you ever swipe it out?
I do swipe it away, but
I'm wondering if it like learns that way.
yeah, no, I swipe away the sports every time, and it still brings it up to the top. Um, I also would like to see them better create a way to add cards. I know right now the way is you have to view sample cards, and then from that choose the card you want. And then at the bottom of that, they have a link that says view all cards, and then it brings you to another page where you view all cards. And the method of adding the cards is different than the first page. And I really would just prefer if there was an add page option, and then maybe it showed you all the cards, and you had an option to either view it or set it. And then once you have it set, you have the option to adjust the settings or delete. And it would be a lot simpler, make it a lot easier to order. It's just a personal something I wish for Google Now to create.
The whole Google Now thing, your cards are very useful, but we need more of them. We need more cards. There was an update. There's a experimental thing. If you go to google.com/experimental/Gmail field trial, you can click the join the field trial, click join the field trial button, and basically it's like experimental things with your cards. And one of the new ones that just came out recently is if you are trying to remember somebody's phone number or email address or their just where they live or whatever, you can actually just ask it, what is blah blah blah's phone number, or what is Joe's address, and it'll come up in the card with that contact, and then that'll just take you right directly to their contact. So they've also added like enhanced like flight tracking features. You can see more detailed information about any flights that you have, your boarding passes. You can see what's upcoming in your calendar. If you search for something and you have any emails that are related to that search, it'll pull up a list of any of the emails that you have in your Gmail that may be related to whatever you were just looking for. It'll also pull up search results from Google Drive. So if you have a document or a file, like say you're looking for something that you were working on in a document, and it'll bring up Google search results if you wanted to search for more of it, but it'll also bring up any documents you had when you were currently working on it. You can also find scheduled events, uh, more detailed package tracking, which I've actually been seeing a lot of this past week. I ordered a couple things, and I'll get a Google Now notification. Basically, you get an email notification that your package shipped with the tracking number and whatever, and then Google Now sees that, so it'll display on a card. It'll notify you saying that your package shipped with the information of when it should arrive, and right from the card you can call that company if you wanted to call them about your package, and click on the tracking number and go right to the tracking. If you have any reservations, you got an email confirmation for a reservation that you made at a hotel or restaurant or whatever. It'll pull up everything you need to know: date, time, where it is, so you can get directions right from there. So I just joined this morning. I just saw it, and we'll see how that goes.
I know. Also, when I first got Google Now, I didn't really understand it. I used it for the weather. I had it set up it would give me a map to work from home from work, depending on where my location was. But a little after I found another nifty feature. For instance, I searched Galaxy S4 back when it was first announced during the I/O. I did a search on Galaxy S4 Google Edition, and I looked up some stuff on it, and that was it. I just read a couple of articles, and then just a couple of days ago, right when it actually came out, it put on my Google Now cards for articles on reviews of the Galaxy S4 Google Edition. I didn't have to search it; it just gave them to me, and I thought that was great. It gave me a chance to read them. Same thing for the HTC One. Another thing I really liked is my wife and I were doing some house searching, which we put on hold, but we were doing some house searching a while back. And it actually, the next day when I was using the Zillow app, just looking up addresses. But the next day when I went to my Google Now, it had cards on me saying, would you like to view more houses? And it was looking at the number of bedrooms that I was looking at. It was looking at the type of house. It was looking at all that stuff and giving me relative searches to available houses on the market. And I thought that was just extremely helpful. I wasn't even expecting that. So
Yeah,
Google Now is definitely doing some good things. One other thing, I don't know if you've read up on it. I saw an article for it, but I didn't get the chance to read it. But I heard Google Now is going to be coming to the browser. Do you know anything about that?
Yeah, I've heard some things about it. I haven't read much about it, but I know I'm definitely looking forward to it.
Yeah, I definitely plan on looking more into that. Maybe we can bring some in a future episode. But that's something I spend a lot of time on the Chrome browser. Basically, that's all that I open up on my computer. So
Yeah, I love the synchronization between your Chrome browser and Google Now on your phone, because I don't know how many times I'll look up so much random stuff, and I don't even remember why I looked that up. So
yeah,
I'll open up Google Now, and I have lists of things, and I'm like to continue researching or other things that I may be interested in. I'll get lists of articles of like devices that I've looked up and reviews and videos, and
yeah, it's very handy. I personally I use it all the time now just because a lot of the times I search the same things or I search similar things, and because I search so much, it actually already puts out cards for me sometimes for articles, and I can just click it and it'll bring me to something I want to read.
it'll know when you're interested in an article before you even know you're interested in an article.
Exactly.
I'll get up one morning and check my weather, and it's here's a review about some phone. I'm like, I've never heard of this, but that's cool. Google knows me better than I do. I'm fine with that. Another thing I want to see in the next version of Android is more voice controls. There's so much that you can do now. You can send a message to somebody, and you can play music. You can tell it to play a song by whatever. And something that I would really like to see is to be able to just turn it on and say, turn off Wi-Fi, or dim screen to 10%, or silence.
Yeah, that's definitely something I look forward for too. It's yeah, definitely working on getting a new laptop. I had to borrow my wife's. My laptop has a crappy webcam, but we're gonna hope that doesn't happen again or continue to be a habit.
Yeah, I was saying I believe that's a feature in Windows.
What, just shutting off?
Yeah,
Yeah, I think that's a
it's,
built-in feature.
it says
Spontaneous crashing.
you've been here too long. Go
Keeps
do
you
something
excited.
else.
That's what they're doing. They're keeping you excited. You're waiting for it just to mess up your day.
They're making sure you keep hitting save on whatever you're working on,
Yeah.
or you're
Well,
working in the cloud.
with Google Drive, you don't have to hit save. It
Yeah,
saves it for you.
there you go, Microsoft. You're advertising Google Drive. More things that I want to see in the next version of Android is more lock screen widget support. I haven't been using them as much, but that's probably because I don't have that many choices right now. I put Google Keep in there so that I can just really quickly access my notes and stuff. But I haven't really used Google Keep as much as I want to. I think one of the biggest things about Google Keep, it being part of Google Drive and everything else, Google Drive is all about sharing and collaborating and everything. But then Google Keep, it's just you, no sharing. I don't know if
Yeah, I feel the same way. I know we've had this conversation in the past, but you can create lists in Google Keep, and it very neatly you can check them off when you get something. You can add things, and I would love to. My wife and I, there's so many things we do. She won't use Google Drive. She'll use Keep just because it's simple, but I can't get her to use Google Drive. And there's so many times I just want to be able to share like a shopping list with her. Or my son's birthday is coming up at the end of August, and I want to be able to just put in there like birthday ideas and have her be able to add to the list, me add to the list, check off if one of us picks something up, and it doesn't allow that. So we're
yeah.
still kind of just doing it in person.
You would think it being part of Google Drive that it would have that built-in share, work together on the same note, share a note.
Also, at the same time with that, one thing that is if you want to access, like when they put out Google Keep, they made it known this is part of Google Drive. They told you that. That's what they said when they brought it out. But if you go to Google Drive on a web browser, you can't go to your Keeps from there. You have to actually go to the link for Google Keep.
You have to know
what that
where
link
it is.
Yeah. And I think they should add also in the browser under Drive an option for Keep.
Yeah, I mean, you should be able to just click on Create New and then have all of your notes and checklists, because I love to be able to have the checklist in there. I've been using this app called Catch, which allows you to share. You can create workspaces. So I have my own personal workspace. I have a home workspace, which I have that shared with my wife. So anytime we add a note or a checklist or anything in that workspace, it's automatically shared to both of us. Also, if we open one up and we have a shopping list in here for next time we go grocery shopping. If I go in there and I add something, the app on her phone pops up in the notification bar saying that something was added to this list, and then she can go in there and just highlight and she can see what's been added. So if we had something like this in Google Keep, it'd be brilliant, because my problem with this is it lags. Like I add something to even just checking something off. I hit the checkbox, try to scroll, and nothing's happening. It's syncing, and then I have to wait, and then it scrolls all the way to the bottom. You have to like do something and then wait, and then do something and then wait.
And what was the name of that app again that you've been using?
It's Catch.
Catch. I'm gonna give that a look myself.
Yeah, you can have You can set all kinds of things in here. You can set an alarm. You can create a note by a picture, write a note. You can do it by voice, so you can just hit the microphone and talk. Basically, everything that you can do in Keep. The only difference is the reason I've been using this is for the sharing purposes. It's like if Google Keep would allow sharing, I'd have no reason for that app.
Yeah, exactly. Another thing that we seem to have here on our wish list, and one thing I really don't need. When I first heard about the Nexus 4, I was upset about it. It doesn't really bother me now, but that's expandable storage. If you guys want to leave comments below and let us know what you think, do you want expandable storage? Do you need it? I know right now on my phone, I have the S3. I have a 4 gigabyte SD card expanded in there. I don't use it. The one thing on there is my camera folder, which I backed up when I was flashing a ROM, just because that's the only thing I don't want to lose. And even that, it wouldn't have minded if I lost it. My phone automatically backs up all my camera photos to Google Plus for me. Any
Mm-hmm.
other photos and files and everything else, I live in the cloud now. None of my computers anymore at all have anything saved on them except for videos on my desktop. Other than that, it's all in the cloud. Everything's on either Google Drive or Copy. And with that, I just don't have a need for expandable storage anymore. So when I first heard it wasn't going to have it, and that was a little more than maybe a year ago, that was before I was using cloud storage, and that bothered me, but I don't see a need for it anymore. I don't know if you need it for any purpose, but
Yeah, I was when I first heard about them, they were gonna no longer have SD card support. I was I was a little upset because I actually used it a lot. I think I had a 8 gigabyte SD card in my old phone, and I was constantly taking that out, plugging it into my laptop, transferring stuff over there, transferring pictures and everything. I mean, they're all backed up to my Google Plus, to my auto backup, but I was in the habit of just downloading and backing them up to my computer, and then my computer crashed, and then I got into Copy, and I basically work completely out of my Copy sync folders. So anything can happen to my computer now. It doesn't even matter. This thing could break, that one could break, and all my stuff is in Copy, which is also then accessible from my phone. So I don't even need. I really don't have a need for an SD card anymore. Ever since I got this and I no longer had an SD card, I noticed that the only reason I ever used my SD card was transferring things back and forth. So then I found this app. It's called Web Sharing File Media Sync, and basically what it is while you're connected, your computer is connected to the same Wi-Fi connection. So you basically have this interface right here, and then all it is you just hit start, and it's basically hosting a little page, a little kind of like a little web interface. It gives you a URL right here. You can set up. You can go into your settings and change the access. You can allow guest access, so you can let somebody else log in or just go to that URL, which is just your IP address for your phone or your tablet, whatever you have this on. And it has a web interface where it's basically folders, and you can actually play your music and videos right in your browser, and they're streaming from your device. And then you can upload and download. You can select multiple things, download them as a zip folder, and then extract them onto your computer. And this is what I've been using lately, because that was really the only reason I needed an SD card, was transferring things more quickly. And if I just took a really long video and I want it on my computer because I want to edit it or something, I don't want to wait for it to back up to auto backup, then wait for it to download, because it's right here going here, so it doesn't need to go from here to the internet back to here. So I'll just use that and just transfer it directly. It's much faster, and I have no need for an SD card anymore.
and it sounds to me that even if you had an SD card, this is still faster. You don't have to back it up to the SD card and take the SD card and put it on your computer. This
Right.
is direct right to your computer. So overall, I don't really see a need anymore for SD cards, really, unless you want to actually have on you a large amount of video files or something like that. Most phones can now accommodate a large amount of photos. I mean,
Yeah,
unless you're running a large amount of video, I don't really see the need for expandable storage anymore, especially with your options out there. I have probably 7 different cloud services on my phone right now, like, and with all of them, they're active. All of them have at least 5 GB. Some of them have as high as 50. You don't really need that expandable space anymore. It's easy to
yeah.
come by.
And with your pictures and videos being backed up to auto backup, I'll go in there every once in a while and just delete what's on there because I don't need them on there. They're everywhere else.
Exactly.
Run out of space, clear it because they're all backed up. Another thing, native Google Tasks app. I use I used to use Google Tasks all the time. I've kind of drifted away from it, mainly because there isn't much support from it from Google themselves. It seems like the only place where Google Tasks means anything is within Gmail. I thought when Google Keep came out that was going to replace Google Tasks and they were going to sync, but it's still Google Tasks. The only place you see it is in Gmail. You could click on the Gmail thing and go to Tasks, and then you get a little Tasks pop up. And then the reason I liked it was because you can go into an email, and if it's something that you want to get to later, you can just go to more, and then you can say add to tasks. And what this does is it adds it to your task list, and it includes a link to that email. So you're going through your task list, and you see something that you need to get to. Maybe you can change the due date of when that task needs to be addressed.
Yeah.
And you're going down your list, and you want to get to that, but you don't have all the details right there. So you click related email, and it just takes you directly to that email. But this is the only place it works. It doesn't work anywhere else. It's meaningless anywhere else, anywhere outside of Gmail.
And that's really that's actually really uncommon for Google. Google has always strived in the area of everything being linked together, everything having its purpose. And I agree. I would like to see more with tasks, or maybe down the line, tasks and Keep and Drive all become one, and something like that. I don't know. I'm just so used to everything else with Google being able to sync everything between them, open one from another, and it is a little annoying sometimes just having that in Gmail.
Yeah, I used to use tasks at work actually as it was basically my to-do list. Emails would come in and I just add them to my task list for the due dates. And the problem was nobody else saw my to-do list. Nobody else knew what I had to work on. So what I was actually doing was every Monday printing out my task list. Actually, it got to the point where I was doing it every single day so that everybody could see my task list, what I have for the week, or what I have not done yet, and see what's checked off before we worked on a whole completely different system entirely. But it was it was great for me to keep track of what I needed to do and what emails those were referring to. It was completely pointless to anybody else.
Yeah.
Just the ability to share the task list would probably make me quite a bit happier. But integrate that with Google Keep, and will make me much happier. LTE.
I don't know. LTE, there's a lot of rumors. That's actually really confusing. A lot of people are hoping, and they probably will see 4G LTE in the next Nexus. There's still really no announcement date for it, but it's probably going to be there. But one thing that I've always wondered is, why doesn't the Nexus 4 have it? There is an LTE antenna in the Nexus 4. And when it first came out, for a while, there was actually a hack you could do to activate it, but they've since patched that. I don't know why spend the money doing it in a phone that they're trying to make as low cost as possible and not allow it to actually be used. You're limited to that 3G speed. I know you have a Nexus 4. Do you sometimes wish you had that extra speed boost of 4G? Do you get by on a 3G?
Well, it has HPSA Plus, which is technically being considered 4G.
Yeah.
I'm using an MVNO of AT&T right now just for coverage purposes, and the service that I'm using doesn't allow access to an HPSA Plus network. When I was on T-Mobile, I was LTE. Like there's always a constant battle between HPSA Plus and LTE and everything. My previous phone was the original HTC Evo, and I was on Sprint. So the best speeds that I got off of Wi-Fi was about 0.07 megabits per second. So
Yeah.
7 thousandths of a megabit. So when I got 5 megabits per second would be fine for me. That's still considered 3G. So when I got my Nexus 4 and I put it on T-Mobile, I was on their HPSA Plus 42 network, and I was getting easily 5 to 10 megabits per second download speeds. Some parts of the city I was getting 17. So LTE or not, I was more than happy with that.
Yeah. I can see that that speed boost. I know ever since I've got a smartphone, I do so much online. Before, I didn't worry about that as much. I had one of those slide-up keyboard phones. Maybe I went on Facebook sometimes with the internet. I didn't really care about the speed, but now, I Tumblr, Google Plus all the time, just all day. It's crazy. Um, by the way, didn't mention it before, but actually below my name, we have I have to put my lower third back up. We have our links to Google Plus. I know we didn't mention that, but we're both very active in Google Plus, and we appreciate anybody who wants to follow us, anyone who wants to circle us. Um, that's something we're
Definitely.
both very into.
I live in Google Plus.
Same here. That's basically my little home. I feel comfortable there. I
That's
know
my
the people
second
I
home.
talk to. It's my little cocoon of safety.
My happy place. Next Nexus, better build quality or build better materials actually. Glass, glass front and back. I don't know. I'm not a fan of it. I have Gorilla Glass, Gorilla Glass, scratch resistant. I have a scratch right here from the very first day that I went out to the world with this. I put it in my pocket, drove to somewhere for breakfast. I took it out, and I thought it was a piece of hair. So I just went like that, put it back in my pocket, sat down, pulled it out. Hair was still there.
Yeah,
The hair is still there.
I know. I don't like this. Also, I have the S3, and it's supposed to be Gorilla Glass 2. It's the first day I got it, huge crack right across the screen this way, right across the screen that way, and that happened from lying down with it in my pocket on the edge of the bed. So basically, half my body was on the phone, the other half was off, and it was just like pushing down on it, and I diagonally across the screen, huge crack. Very first day I got it, I was so upset, but of course, I wanted to save the $5 a month, whatever it was, so I didn't get the protection plan, and
Yeah,
you know,
I
regretted
thought
it right away.
that's what I thought too. I thought Gorilla Glass, it's fine.
Yeah,
I never ever dropped my phone.
and I know
Of course,
what
now I
is
do.
your opinion? The Nexus 4 that has the glass back?
Yeah, it's supposed to be basically when I pull it out and it's dark. I don't often know which side I'm touching because it's glass front and back, and the only thing is the bevel on the sides.
Yeah,
It kind of tapers out towards the front of the phone. But other than that, they feel exactly the same on both sides. Another thing I don't like, let's see if I can show you this. I'm using my phone while it's on a surface. It's very
oh yeah,
slippery. I can't,
yeah, it slides around like crazy.
yeah. And there's been, I guess they kind of snuck in a design change in there. They put these little bumps on the corners, and I think that's mainly because your camera is like flush with the whole back. So putting it
Yeah,
down like that. The other thing I hate, rear-facing speakers. When I put this down flat on my desk and it rings, I don't hear it at all if I'm at work because there's other noise at work. So if I put this down and my volume is all the way up, somebody calls me, I don't hear it at all because that speaker is covered.
yeah. I never really. I understand from a point of aesthetics, rear speakers. I understand. Yeah, you can put it on the back, it fits on the back, but why? I never understood why you would want that. But also back to the build materials. I know my S3. This is the back cover. It's completely.
Yeah.
It feels like it's gonna break. It feels like it's gonna break when it's on the phone. I don't like it. My first phone was the Motorola Expert. It was not really a good phone. It was marketed as a business phone, but I got it on sale, then an online deal, then a separate discount. It came out to free, so I wasn't gonna complain. That's why I got it. But the back was a sturdy piece of plastic. It was just a little bit thicker than the S3, but it was sturdy. There was no bending it almost completely in half like I just did there. It didn't. If you tried to bend it, you were going to break it, but it was sturdy. It made the phone feel sturdy. It had metal along the edges. It felt solid in your hand. It wasn't too thick. It was like a brick, and it felt solid in your hand. And I really would love to sacrifice just a little bit of that thinness for a solid feeling phone. I don't want
Yeah.
to think I'm going to break it.
I've dropped this a couple times, and surprisingly, it hasn't shattered yet because I see people in the Nexus 4 community on Google Plus all the time, probably at least once every week or two or so. Somebody with a completely shattered screen, and it's just terrifies me.
That's another thing. It's supposed to be Gorilla Glass. I've dropped my phone. I have scratches all over my phone from my keys in my pockets, even from the coins in my pockets. And I have a. I originally had like a cheap screen protector, just one off Amazon. I bought one specifically made for that phone. It's done a wonderful job since then. But before, even with Gorilla Glass, scratches from everything. If it was, I had to keep it in my pocket by itself, or it would get scratched. And my other phone, it was Motorola Expert. It was a low-end Motorola phone. That thing's been thrown at a wall. It's been dropped on pavement and nothing. It had maybe like 3 little dings on it, and it wasn't even Gorilla Glass, so I don't know what about it. But it was sturdier. It was better made.
That's what I don't get about mine. I always have a dedicated pocket for my phone. I always have a pocket phone. Nothing else goes in that pocket but my phone. So that's why I don't understand where this scratch came from, because it was fine. I put it in my pocket, and I took it out, and there was a scratch.
A
And
little piece of hair.
yeah, that's what I thought. It was a piece of hair, but it's never gone away. You don't see it when the screen is on, but I know it's there. Gorilla Glass let me down. My mother-in-law had what was it, a Droid Razor. It's supposed
Yeah.
to be super, super thin. Gorilla Glass. It was supposed to be that they advertised it to her as being so indestructible because she's very clumsy, and it's the entire screen is shattered. It has the touch, not the software keys, but the actual hardware keys.
Yeah.
Not
I
hardware
disabled
keys.
those.
Yeah, the glass is so shattered that there's chunks of glass missing, and you have to actually push the little thing inside the phone because
Yeah.
there's glass missing. So Gorilla Glass is not indestructible. It is very destructible, very fragile too. Other Google related news. Google removed clouds. Google removing
Yeah.
clouds.
That's that's actually. I was taking a look at that, and that's pretty interesting. What they've done there. Uh, I know you wanted to talk about that a bit, so I'm going to let you go ahead and do that.
Yeah, well, it's they updated the satellite view from Google Maps and Google Earth. So basically, no matter where you look, it's clear skies everywhere. There's they used different images from different points in time to kind of just erase the clouds using only images from when it was clear. So basically, you're never going to go somewhere in your map and not be able to see what you're trying to look at because there's a cloud in the way. It's basically no clouds on the map.
And I just thought that was a pretty neat feature. I mean, I don't really go and look at things from the Google satellites often, but
But now when you do, you'll be able to see them.
yes.
The Nexus Edition phones, the Galaxy S4 and HTC One, it's been said that the manufacturers are going to be responsible for the updates, not Google. Because it's a Nexus Edition, but it has to be modified slightly to work with that specific hardware. So there's still going to be a bit of a delay on Android updates for them, but shouldn't be anything like with their own custom skins on there. But I thought it was interesting. It's still going to rely on the manufacturer's update. There's no Google Wallet on HTC One. but there is for the S4. So
That's
Nexus
actually
edition.
that's actually something I want to touch up on. It's not exactly related to the Nexus edition, but I know Google Wallet is not available for most phones on unless you get like a Nexus device where it has to be on it because it's a Google device. It has to be allowed. If you have T-Mobile, AT&T, or Verizon phone, like a generic phone, you don't get Google Wallet at all. And that's really frustrating for me because like now I have NFC on my phone. I want to be able to go and just touch things and pay and like load my card onto my phone, and I can't do that because T-Mobile, AT&T, and Verizon, they are in the works of creating some lower, less worthy program called ISIS or something like that that does the same exact thing. So they said that they didn't agree with the privacy terms worded by Google, so they blocked their app. And basically your only option is to get theirs or not have it at all. And I just think, I don't know, the way I look at it, that would be like Dell creating a Photoshop server, a Photoshop program, and then saying, we're not going to allow you to put Photoshop on your devices. You have to use this Dell photo editor. And I just think it should be like something that should be illegal almost. It's just, they can just block an app for the simple fact that they want people to use theirs. They control that. They removed it. It doesn't show up on your app store if you have a T-Mobile device.
That was a lot of the issue with the Galaxy Nexus, wasn't it, on Verizon? Was you went, it was new. This was before that you were buying them straight from Google, I believe, where you were getting the Nexus. It's supposed to be pure Google, but you get it on Verizon, and there was all these issues with them blocking Google Wallet. Which when you want a Nexus, you want a Nexus.
And that's what happened now is when you buy the phone from Google. I'm not sure. I know you have an N4, but I think it comes. Does it come with Wallet now, preloaded? Or?
Yeah.
Yeah. That's what I thought.
I actually got to use mine a couple times.
Yeah.
Which was pretty cool. It was just at a gas station, just something simple, but you know, there was a small line behind me, so I thought I'm going to blow everybody's mind.
There you go.
So the guy, the cashier, he was like, "What'd you just do?" I was like, "I paid for my stuff."
Yeah. And I think NFC. I think NFC is something we're going to see a lot of in the future. NFC. I know everyone right now they love those QR codes. They put QR codes on everything. You scan it and it brings it up on your device. But I think, NFC is the next thing. You don't have to open up your scanner. You don't have to do anything. I think they're going to start putting little like touch your phone here with more phones having NFC. And you touch your phone, it brings you to that. It shows you the picture. It shows you a trailer for a movie. And I know I was reading an article in Australia now. They actually, some subways can use NFC to actually pay for your ticket too now. Or like you put $10 on it, like, and your phone keeps track. This is your 10th trip. Now you have to go and buy some more. And I think that's pretty neat. And I want to see a lot more NFC in the future.
I do too. My wife and I have been using it because we both have the Nexus 4, so we both have it. So we're constantly taking a picture or something and then just beaming it to each other, and it's really awesome. Google Plus turns 2. Google Plus' second birthday.
That's big. And AdSense turned 10.
Yeah.
Chromebooks everywhere. I know. Have you used a Chromebook before?
I haven't.
Yeah, I know. I was looking at it. I also haven't used one. I've been really wanting to. I used a similar service by Linux, Jolly OS, for a while, and that also it's HTML5 based. It's all web apps, basically built around the web, and it was blazing fast. It did what you want to do. No stalling, but it was limited to that's what you could do. You were limited to your web apps. You're limited to online. There wasn't really any programs on the computer to use. But one thing that I've liked to see with Chromebooks, first off, is it's coming all around over. I know Best Buy, Walmart, they're all going to start carrying Chromebooks now, and that's pretty interesting. I might even pick one up. I mean, you can get one for $199. That's nothing for a laptop.
Yeah, I'm probably really considering getting one of the cheaper ones, not the Pixel.
Yeah, not the Pixel. The Pixel's a wonderful screen, but it's not worth that price.
That's too much for an internet-only device. If I paid the money for a Pixel, I would want to find a way of putting Linux on it or something.
Yeah, but one thing I do want to see with the Chromebook, and there's a lot of speculation. There's really no rumors or no verified anything but saying on it, just speculation and hopes and wishing, and that is that the Chromebooks will support Android apps. And I mean, it's not out of, it's not beyond reason. Chrome OS is based on Linux. Android is based on Linux. Both are Google. I mean, Chrome OS already allows you to access those web apps. I mean, if it could just allow you to have your Android apps on there as well, that'd be great. And also, or even an option. I know there's a Samsung laptop coming out this fall, and it's Windows 8, but it has on it an option that'll boot you right into Android. And basically, what it's doing, I believe, is it's opening Android in like a virtual box type thing. That way, you don't have to shut down, say, boot into this on the hard drive. It's just like opening in like a little virtual box. But I mean, the Chrome OS, the Chromebooks, they use similar specs to what a tablet has. It's just in a laptop form, so it wouldn't be too hard to even just add an icon and you click it, and now you're in a tablet view. It looks like a tablet. With the Pixel, we've seen that touch interfaces are being added to the Chromebook. I mean, basically, you add a keyboard, you have a tablet interface. I mean, so I don't think it's beyond reason. That's one thing I'd like to see, but I'm definitely happy to see Chromebooks being everywhere. I hear a lot of people say all the time, like, "Oh, Chromebooks, that's going nowhere. That's a flop." It's the #1 selling laptop on Amazon for a while. I don't think it is right now, but it was when it first came out. It's always near the top, so I see that going places.
And there's plenty of people who all they really need is the internet.
Yeah.
I could easily get one of these for my mom, and she would be fine. I would not have to go over there and fix her computer so often.
Even myself, I have a netbook, and I barely use any of the programs on it. I think I've used Gparted a couple times to fix some flash drives, and I like messing around with the terminal on Linux just to learn stuff. But really, I log on my computer, I open up Copy, I open up Chrome. That's what I do.
Yeah. Most of what I can do is done in the browser. I would be fine having a separate computer for my Photoshop and all that stuff. But
and you can't really beat the price. I mean, it is internet only, but $199 for the lowest end, and it's still, for the fact that it's just browser, it's still fast. It's still going to be responsive. So
there's something that's going to turn on within, what is it, 8-10 seconds?
Yeah, it's that.
And you're ready to go.
It's got an SSD, and I also believe, I'm not 100% sure, but I believe it's some of them are offered in 3G too, which is even better, because that's you have it wherever you go. It's not just internet. It's like your phone. You can just take it out on the train, on wherever you are, pick up some 3G signal, and you're good to go.
Or even tethering.
Yeah.
Waze. Have you used Waze?
I've downloaded. I haven't gotten a chance to use it yet. I just kind of opened it up and took a look at it.
I've been using it for the past 2 weeks, basically since Google bought it. I heard about it a little bit before then, but I think it kind of just the fact that Google was interested in it kind of made me interested in it.
That's the way it usually is for things with me. If I see Google want it, I want it.
Yeah. It's really good. The data that's in it is very useful, but the way that it navigates is I kind of have a problem with it. The data from Waze with Google's navigation, I think would be awesome, because I don't know how many times Waze repeats the same thing, or it doesn't give you enough specifics, like your exit's coming up, or you have to turn left somewhere, and it just says in half a mile turn left.
Yeah.
And it's like, I kind of like to know where, so when I see that I can start hearing, and then it'll tell you 500 feet turn left on this street. So it's like, okay, now I know. I would have liked to know half a mile ago.
Yeah, I agree with that. I haven't tested out Waze yet. I'm going to give it a test, but I know, what is your opinion with Waze being bought by Google? Do you think they're going to combine their navigation with Waze and use their features?
I think they're planning on integrating at least the data from Waze into Google Maps. That way, when you're using Google's navigation, you can see live information, because when I'll turn this on. I usually when I'm using it, I know where I'm going. I'm usually going home or going to work, somewhere between those two. But I'll turn it on anyway, just because sometimes it'll tell me to go somewhere else, which I wouldn't have gone that way. But it turns out that there's bad traffic over there, and it knows that. Google Navigation isn't exactly live because the traffic reports aren't coming from users specifically.
And that's another thing with Waze. If those features are incorporated into Google Maps, Google Navigation, I mean, the more people using it, the better it is, from what I understand. I mean, it's getting its traffic information, and it's getting that from the users who are actually have it running themselves as they're traveling. And the more people running it, the better it's going to function, the better it's going to give you information.
Yeah, because when I have it running, it's telling me my speed. It can see your speed at the bottom, which is something that you can do. Well, and it was insanely accurate. It was telling me how fast I'm going. I look at my speedometer and it's like right on. It's exactly my speed. But I also allowed it to report those speeds. So if I'm on the freeway and I'm going 20 miles an hour for 5 miles, it kind of knows that that's pretty slow for being on the freeway. So it's going to
Yeah.
report that as slower traffic. I have it. There's also you can report incidents, which I've tried to do a couple of times. I haven't really been able to use it very well because I didn't have a mount. I just had it in my cup holder, and so I couldn't actually. I had to glance down at it, so I was just kind of going by the sound. But I just got this the other day, so I'm going to try that
Oh,
out.
yeah. I have something similar. It's called goo or something like that. It actually sticks onto the window or onto something, and it's like this sticky substance. And if it ever becomes a lot sticky, all you have to do is wet it, and it absorbs the wetness, and it's sticky again, and it lasts probably 6 months.
That's basically what this is too. It has this plastic cover which you got to peel off, but the little bottom, the base part is very
It's a
sticky.
suction, right?
Yeah, it's very sticky. But then
Yeah.
once you stick it on, you use the little clip, and
Yeah.
it'll. I mean, so it's very sticky. It would probably stay perfectly fine just like that. But
Yeah.
then you have that added suction, and that just locks it into place.
Yeah, that's definitely good. I know I used to love. I ran. It's Vlingo for the longest time, and I loved that just because I loved being able to say, hey Vlingo, and it would respond, yes, Captain, and because you could set its personal response. And I know that's just a little nerdy thing I had, but
I had the exact same response.
yeah, it was great. I loved it. But I'm gonna actually rush through these next 2 points here, just because I can kind of smell my processor right now, and I don't want my computer to turn off again.
Okay.
But I did want to briefly touch up on Google X. That's Google's like private sector. Every once in a while, they release what they're working on, but by no all means is the stuff that they release all that they're working on. They have a lot going on under there. They three things that they have announced: Google Glass, which we've heard a lot about, and that's real innovative. I'd love to get my hands on one of those. It's real amazing. I don't know how often I would use it. You got to wear it all the time. They don't have any way to incorporate it with lenses if you're someone that actually wears glasses yet, from what I understand. But I would love to be able to just, there's so many times where if I try to take a picture of Liam with my phone, he takes it away, and he'll be looking somewhere else. But like faces, if I'm just looking at him with my face and he'll look back at me, I can just say, "Glass, take a picture," and it'll take a picture. Or Glass, take a video, and it'll take a video while I walk around with him, while I'm running around with him. And there's so many things I think I can do with that.
Yeah, I would
Self,
probably wear mine all the time.
yeah. Self-driving car. That's just pretty self-explanatory. It's a self-driving car. They've been working on that for a while. I've been hearing things about that for a while. I know not too long ago it actually drove a blind person from his house to the grocery store.
Yeah,
Um,
and the stop at fast food, get some food on the way too.
yeah, that was pretty cool.
He
I
was
don't
able
really
to
too much.
navigate through the drive-through.
Yeah, I don't know too much about the tech that they use for that, but that's just amazing, and that's all done with the car. I mean, I always think self-driving car. I think some type of guided system that both has to be built into the car, the road, other cars. But no, this is all the car. It's sensing everything around it. It's seeing what it needs to see. It's stopping at red lights, stopping at stop signs. It's yielding where it needs to yield. It's looking. I really don't even know how they do it. I'm just stunned. Like, that's just one thing that, like, it's doing it all itself. That's what stuns me. I always thought self-driving cars was possible if it was like cars were all contributing, there were sensors in the road, but this is just doing it itself, and that's pretty awesome.
It almost
Uh,
seems like it would be safer too, because because of all the sensors. If the person in front of you brakes suddenly and you're looking over there, the
yeah,
car's already going to know, and it's going to
it's
react.
gonna
It's going to
break.
respond much faster than you could.
Yeah, I know. Another thing, it was announced really not too long ago, coming from Google X, is Loon. Loon is that I can't. I want to see this take off and become so much more than it's being talked about right now. But its sole purpose is basically to bring Wi-Fi to countries and spots of the world that don't have it, but really it could be implemented worldwide, and that's putting like routers and servers basically in a balloon that's just carried up into the stratosphere. It's above the clouds, it's above air traffic travel, so you don't really have to worry about it being ruined in a storm or being hit by a plane, and it rides the wind currents, and it it gives you Wi-Fi where it is. I mean, I don't know if you have anything to add on that, but I just think it's an amazing idea, and I'd love to see that implemented worldwide, and just you pay Google 20, whatever they charge, and you can just have a link to their Wi-Fi wherever you are. I wouldn't need a data plan. I just have Wi-Fi everywhere.
Yeah, if I could have data just everywhere, I wouldn't need a voice plan at all.
Exactly. I would probably go to a Nexus 7 as my full-time device or something. I mean, even right now, what I wish I could do, but T-Mobile doesn't allow it, is get just a data plan on my phone. But they don't allow that because it's a phone. They only allow that for tablets, and it's like, oh well, it has a built-in dialer, so you have to buy a voice plan, and it's just, I don't use it. I use Google Voice and Groove IP for all of my calls. I just use data.
Mm-hmm.
You don't need voice plans anymore, really. You can live with data. Uh, Another thing, Nexus Q replacement. There's rumors that that's going to be coming out later this year, early next year. Nexus Q was a big flop when it first came out, but all it really supported was Play TV and YouTube, I believe. They're really thinking about adding a lot more to that, a lot more streaming services, a lot more options, a lot more sending from your phone to the Nexus Q, and also Google gaming console is another rumor. And I, for one, think that's going to be combined with the Nexus Q. I think it's going to be one device. We've seen with Ouya and GameStick that Android-based open-source gaming there's a market for it. It's definitely something that people are interested in, and you don't really need to buy any hard games. It's you either purchase them or they're on your console. I heard that there's even options sometimes to stream them. So
Yeah,
that's pretty interesting.
bring bringing gaming to the cloud too. Why not?
That's definitely pretty interesting. I know right now a lot of people don't have speeds necessary to stream games, while someone in the other room might be streaming Netflix or whatever, or just browsing the internet. But with Google Fiber rolling out, and I mean the speeds that they offer, it's definitely possible with that. I'm gonna, just before my processor clocks out again, I'm gonna skip over on my next couple of points and let you take on your last point before we get to our app tip of the week.
I also wanted to say with the Nexus Q, I would like to see that be. I want to see them do something with Google TV, because I've been really wanting a Google TV,
Yeah,
and I don't know which one to buy because I don't know which one to trust, basically. And if they came out with a Nexus TV type of thing, if they put that in the Nexus Q, I would gladly go for that.
that's true. But and then on the other side though with that is if they did put that into the Nexus Q, you're bound the Nexus Q isn't going to get the Amazon Instant Video, because that is like a direct competitor with the Google TV. And I know for people who use Amazon Instant, then that's going to be a problem for them, because they might already have all these purchases in Amazon, and Google's not going to put one of their top competitors in their own software, I don't think.
I don't know.
I mean, who knows?
Isn't there streaming apps in Google TV? I don't know much about Google TV.
Google TV, I'm not 100% sure, but I think it has Hulu, Netflix, and YouTube. I don't think they included Amazon Instant in it. You also can stream, obviously, your Google Play movies and TV shows, but I don't think it includes Amazon. I can double check that, but
which if you have other Android devices wouldn't be that difficult. I have a Google Reader dies tomorrow.
That's I never got to use it. I'm just now realizing the effect of all those RSS feeds, and if I had known about it before, I know I would have been using it all along.
I used it a little bit to follow forums, which was a bad idea to follow a forum because you get updates in your feed every time somebody posts to a forum. So I ended up not using it. And
Sounds like
then,
a lot of notifications.
yeah, there was probably 7 or 8 different forums in there, all very popular forums. So I ended up not using it. And then once the news came out about Google Reader being discontinued, everybody like flipped out, went crazy, and started posting alternatives. So I thought, I'll try some of the alternatives, and I ended up using Feedly, and I'm really liking Feedly.
I know. I just added Feedly myself yesterday when you mentioned it, and we were talking about the show, and I'm loving it too. I had been using Pulse for a while and Currents, and both are nice. I do like Pulse. You get that little like just picture view of what the article is, but Feedly I just like better. It gives you simple links. Pulse, if it forces them to have the app to read the links. If I try to share it to another, to like Google Plus or Twitter or something, I mean, Feedly makes links that'll bring them to the article, and it gives me relative information. I was on there, I think, for like 2 hours yesterday after I got just reading articles. It was just a blast.
Yeah, I use it like every day pretty much. But the one I use the most is just the today section. I just quickly run through everything that's been posted today. Just very quick, easy way of keeping you up to date.
I believe that brings us to our hat tip of the week, which is something we're going to be doing every week here. It's probably usually going to be an app, but overall, it's going to be a tip for the week that we each recommend. So I'm going to let you do your hat tip.
So mine is it's called Unity Launcher. It's basically when you are, let's see. So when you're in an app and you want to quickly jump to another one, if you have it open, then that's fine. So when you're in here, there's my wonderful wallpaper, Lindsay Sterling. If you hit your recent apps, and then you can easily see any other apps that you have open. But if you're in an app, and say you're in your email or whatever, and you want to quickly jump over to say a Hangouts or open up a message, Unity Launcher, it'll put a launcher over on the side that is gesture based. So I put mine. You can put your hotspot, whatever, up wherever you want. I put mine up here just because if I'm in the Chrome browser, I usually swipe from the side somewhere in the middle or the bottom to switch between tabs. So I didn't want to get them mixed up. So I put mine up here. So when you swipe from up there, you get this little pop up, and you can customize any of your icons. You can use it for just the apps that you use the most. So I just put like my top favorite apps up there.
I see you have a lot up there.
Yeah,
I've been using that for a while too. I was using Pi Control, and I definitely like Unity Launcher better. It lets you choose your hotspot. It lets you choose right or left side of the screen, which I believe Pi did too. But you're not limited. Pi Control, you had 10 spots to put apps, and then you could add long press options. That was a total of 20 apps. Unity Launcher, there is no limit. I think I have like 27 right now on my Unity Launcher.
yeah.
I can order them how I want. I have them ordered from the ones I use the most, the ones I use the least, and I use it all the time. Like I'll be in the middle of Google Plus, slide it out, switch to my Hangouts. I'll slide that out, switch to Instagram. I just switch between apps all the time using that, and that's definitely a good app to get. My hat tip of the week goes to Send to SD cards, something I recently found, and basically it allows you to move or copy files. It doesn't have to be a photo. Basically anything where you have that share option to wherever you want on your internal SD card. It's called Send to SD card, but I want to clarify that's your internal SD card. And basically, I'm going to try showing up on the screen if the glare on my phone dims down or something. Doesn't look like it's going to. But you hit your share option, and you actually have SD card right there. And it'll give you a list. You'll have options. You find the folder you want to put it in. Say I want to move it to my downloads folder or DCIM folder. And then once you go in there, you have the options copy here or move here. Move here will obviously completely move the file to that location, or you can copy it to that location. And that's really great for someone who likes to organize their phone, move things around. And I know it's also good. I don't use Facebook anymore. I don't know if it's been fixed, but I remember when I had the Facebook app, if you tried to share a photo from Facebook that you're looking at, there was no option to share it to your gallery. There's no option to share it to your phone in any way. You could share it to cloud service. You could share it to Google Plus. You couldn't share it to your phone, and this basically allows you to save it to your phone, and that works on anything that you can share. Anything that has that share option, you can now save it to wherever you want on your phone. So that's definitely my hat tip of the week.
Also useful with the in the stock gallery app, there isn't really a way of organizing things. If you want to take something that's in your camera and you want to move it to another folder, you go to your menu. You have edit and crop, rotate, and all that stuff. You can't really move it or organize your stuff if you want to keep them in specific folders. So I actually end up using a separate gallery app that just for sorting and reorganizing and everything, just because of that. So with this app, I can easily just share it from the stock gallery.
Share it, and it does also, it moves it or copies it, so it's not even sharing. You're selecting share, but it actually can move it as well. It'll just take it completely out of there and put it somewhere else.
Share being, I see that as the share menu, just sharing this with an app, not necessarily sharing it as in a social aspect of sharing.
All right, and I believe that wraps it up for the week. If you have anything else to add, at the beginning of our future episodes, we will answer any questions that are asked. And if there's anything you'd like to see us touch up on, anything you'd like to see us cover, just let us know. We'll do it.
Yep. So that's it.
Teklian.TV.blogspot.com. That's where you want to go.
Yep. That's where you'll see the feed, and there'll be a live chat underneath it, because we won't be able to see the other chats or whatever they are.
All right.
See you later.